Today's guest got to Minot State by running, and running some more. Joining me now, it's Devan Shumway, the superstar, former Williston and Minot State athlete. How did you land on wanting to do cross country and track and field, man?
So when I was younger, my dad said, "Hey, you should do cross country." I think I was in like 6th grade is when we started. So he's like, "You should try cross country because the school offers it now." And I was like, "Oh, what's that?" And he explained it to me. They go run around golf courses, and like I knew about track, but I just had no idea cross country was a thing. And he explained it to me, and I was like, "Oh, like might as well. Like 6th grade, I don't have as many friends, so might as well go do something." And yeah, that's how I got started.
Do you still keep in touch with a lot of those guys from the 6th grade team?
No, I haven't, because I went to school in Montana then.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so I haven't been in touch with many of those guys actually.
So you had to find your way to Williston for just like the fantastic program that it had, or what?
Yep, that was all part of the plan. No, just kidding. So yeah, I moved to Williston we moved here my freshman year of high school, which was kind of the perfect time because I got to start high school in a new place. It wasn't like I was like in the middle of high school in Montana. It was just a good like fresh restart, and yeah, I think it worked out well.
All right, so between the two, tell me a little bit about just like the different track events that you did, and ultimately, what sport do you think is easier to train for in order to be good at it?
The different events that I did in high school, I'd say my best event was the 2-mile on the track, and then in college, I was more of a 5K guy. But in high school, they only offer the 2-mile as longest distance, so I guess anything long on the track was my best event. But the hardest one to train for, I would probably say out of all my events, track and cross country, I would think that the 8K race for cross country is the hardest to train for, because 8K is about 5 miles, and it just takes a lot of miles and training over the summer and mental preparation to be running and racing for that long, because the races end up being like around 25 to 30 minutes depending on who you are, and if you're not completely locked in for that whole time, you could just have an awful day and just hate yourself. So I think the longer 8K race is definitely the toughest to train for.
So your track events were literally like the closest things that you could get to cross country distance?
Yeah, yep.
With that being said, what's your 100-meter dash time?
I think in high school we would do like 100-meter strides, just like get some like quick turnover, and I think I ran a low 13, like a 13.2 maybe. I don't know, unofficial.
Were you disappointed that the 2-mile was just like the end of the race in the track season? Like you said, it wasn't quite like the 5K that you were looking for, or what?
Yeah, well, in high school, I didn't know anything else because the 2-mile was just the longest. So when I got to college, that's when I was excited to run the 5K on the track, because it just wasn't a thing in high school. But looking back, like I thought the 2-mile was so much fun, and then now I'm like, oh, the 5K was so much more fun than the 2-mile was. Like the 2-mile just sucked.
Were you like, man, if I had that little extra distance, I would have had the time to win more races? Or you're like, oh, we had so much fun, it's over too soon, I had all this running to do?
Yeah, no, it's just like the 2-mile was just fun in high school because like you just prepare for the 2-mile, but then the training's a little different in college, and it's like, okay, now we can focus on 5K. I don't have to do like as much like shorter distance training and intervals and stuff like that. So yeah.
How's it going to be different in college?
What do you mean?
Just you said the training gets different.
Oh, so like we would train like a little bit longer, like on our interval reps. So on our hard days, we don't do as like shorter of distance stuff because you need to build up that strength. So instead of doing like say 800-meter repeats at 2-mile pace, we would be doing like 1,000-meter repeats at 5K pace. So like you're just like running a little bit longer and doing more reps to get your body used to having to race longer, I guess.
Oh, sounds like so much fun, man. I have one more Williston question for you. Were you ever interviewed by John Cole?
Yes, I was interviewed by John Cole plenty of times, actually.
Oh, yeah. What was that like, man? Were you starstruck or what?
No, I knew John Cole was a legend in the Williston community, so I was always honored when he stopped by and wanted to talk to me. But I think that he has done a lot for Williston sports and a lot for the Williston community. And I was really proud after I graduated and moved to Minot when Williston built their new high school and named their gymnasium after him. I think he completely deserved it, and I was really happy for him. So, yeah, thanks for asking about him.
Were you disappointed that it wasn't called Devan Shumway Gymnasium?
No, not at all. John Cole has done way more for the city of Williston than I could ever do, so.
Was he good at asking questions just about straight up running? Because I never know what to ask when it comes to, like, hey, man, you going to try to run fast this week? I mean, have you build up in order to run good by the end of the year? How about just running? Like, how was that?
No, your questions are amazing, but he,
okay.
I think he knew, what did he ask me one time? So we transitioned coaches when I was in high school. My senior year, the current coach, Shane Wallstrom, that was his first year. And when he transitioned, he asked me, how has the transition been between Clint Chamberlain and now your current coach, Shane Wallstrom? And I was kind of taken aback because I was like, how does he even know that we switched coaches? I don't know. I just wasn't prepared for that question. But my old coach, Clint, he was like still around, still helping us, like still helping Shane. And Shane actually ran under him. So Shane knew the program and everything. So I think he was just asking, like, how smooth was it? And I was like, it's been incredible. Like, Shane's doing amazing, and Clint is still, like, checking up on me. And it was just nice that he kind of knew how personal that was to me, because I was kind of scared, like, senior year, and, oh, no, like, Clint's not going to be here. I ran really well with him, but I trusted Shane 100%. And so that was just kind of a cool, like, not only coaching transition, but just, like, transition into senior year for me question.
Here's another good coaching question for you. As you moved to Minot State, what was it like being coached by Stu Melby and then Mark Delmonico?
So that's a good question. Stu was a great coach, and he was very helpful in my transition from high school to college. But when Mark came and I started training with Mark, he really like refreshed my training, because Stu and in high school I ran by like mileage. So it would be like, go out and run, X amount of mileage today, like go run 5 miles today or 6 miles today. But then when Mark came to Minot, it was all based in minutes. So instead of going and running 6 miles, it would be go run 45 minutes. And it doesn't matter how far you make it today, just go off of how your body feels. So instead of, if I felt, really tired and really sore, all I had to think about was, just go run for 45 minutes. Like, I don't have, if I make it like 5.5 miles, that's fine. Like, I still put the time in. But if I felt amazing that day, I could go like 6.5 miles or close to 7. So he was just like, Mark's approach to running was just so different than what I had experienced. And that's when I saw a lot of growth, and that's when I saw a lot of success in cross country. Is when I started training with Mark. So I'm thankful that Mark came to Minot because he really opened my eyes to a new form of training that I wouldn't have saw with Stu.
Why do you think the minutes over miles worked better for you?
I think when we go out and do long runs on weekends, so like anywhere from 12 to 17 miles, depending on where you're at in training, and going out and running for an hour and a half, which that just sounds like forever. But for me personally, that was easier on my mind than, say, going out and running 13 or 14 miles. It was just like, oh, let's just go run out 45 minutes and then turn around and come back. Like, it was just a little bit more relaxing for me, I guess. I don't know. That probably sounds really weird for a lot of people, but for me, it worked.
Well, yeah, you can just, like, picture the passage of time better than, like, a physical distance because, I mean, like, you think you can imagine, like, where you're running in order to track for 6 miles maybe, I guess, and that could seem more daunting and stuff. Do you ever consider, did Stu ever get you into those web feet shoes that he had?
No, he didn't. Stu was kind of famous for those, the, like, toe shoes, we called them. He wore them everywhere. He wore them during practice. He wore them to meets. And he never, like, he believed that, like, it was really good for him, but he never forced that upon me or any of the other athletes, which, yeah, I mean, they worked for him and he liked them, but I needed more of a traditional running shoe.
Okay. Wow, that was so professional. Thanks.
Thank you.
How about, was it an easy choice to go to Minot State based on what? The programming or the fantastic Neil Roberts broadcast school or what?
So, funny story, when I went to Minot, or when I started in Minot, I was actually an athletic training major. Because I was like, oh, running is amazing. Like, I want to do something with sports. And so I was like, oh, I'll do athletic training. But it just wasn't for me. I didn't like it. I wasn't comfortable. Classes were pretty difficult. And I just wasn't grasping anything. So that's when I switched over to business, just because I wanted to do something more general, I guess. So I was like, I can get something with a business degree eventually. And then eventually found the broadcasting department. So I didn't even start in broadcasting, and it ended up being a really big moment in my life when I started because of my career and everything now in broadcasting. But the reason I went to Minot in the first place was just because it was close to home. It's only 2 hours away to Williston, and if I wanted to come home for the weekend or like a holiday weekend, it was just a short drive. So that was my main driving force to going to Minot. And then also one of my former high school teammates, Josh Drew, who was a sprinter on the team at the time, he was on the team. He was like, dude, you should come to Minot. It's amazing. It's awesome. So then I looked at the program and was like, oh, that could be fun. So I should give all credit to Josh because he's the one who first kind of told me, like, dude, check it out at least. It's a good time. We're having fun over here. So all thanks to Josh for suggesting Minot, because without him, I don't know if I would have gone there.
So now that you've hung up the beaver shoes, how long would it take for you to get into your best running shape? Or has it never left?
It would, no, it definitely has left. It would take me probably around 7 to 8 months, maybe, of like consistent good training. Maybe not that long. I don't know. I should give myself a little bit more credit, but
oh, geez.
I don't have Mark watching me every day, so I'll probably be lazy a few days. But yeah,
pick it up, Devan.
Yeah, exactly.
So is your brother better than you, or what?
Yes, my brother is definitely better than me.
So tell us who's he, and then is he winning all the races in college by now, or what?
Yeah, so my younger brother, Minot Shumway, is a very successful runner. He's placed top 5 at state cross country multiple times, and top 5 in many events in track as well, state track. And he just graduated this past spring, and he is attending the University of Sioux Falls right now. Mm-hmm. And he's been kind of, as has everyone else with this COVID pandemic, he didn't have a cross-country season because it was canceled. So he's just been training, but he's also been hurt. I think he got hurt like mid-October. He had a little Achilles injury, so he hasn't really been running for the past maybe like 2 months to just recover from that. So kind of perfect timing to not have a season. But he's transitioned really well. He likes all the guys on the team. Sioux Falls is in the same conference as Minot is, NSIC. So I'm excited to just like watch him compete with guys that I've been racing with for a couple of years, and just to see how well he can do.
Just to see like him leaving them in the dust like he does for you, or what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you got to feel like conflicted, your brother versus like your old school or whatever.
Yeah.
Classic matchup. All right, so what was it like working at KMOT? You did behind the scenes for the live newscast, and then working with, those legends Corey and Paul in the commercial department.
So, working at KMOT was an amazing experience, and I'm so glad that I did.
That's what you have to say, yeah, of course, yeah.
And not only that, but they were very flexible with my hours, so like relating it back to practice and just school, having classes and everything, they were very generous some days, and I was really busy on only, having me work a couple hours, so very thankful for that. But also just like getting like that much more experience in a field that I kind of, in like a major that I started late. I just felt like working at KMOT was just like an accelerated experience for me, and I learned a bunch, and I'm so thankful. Very happy to be behind the camera for you, Ben, during your newscast for a year, I think it was. So, yeah, a bunch of great people, and I miss them all.
Yeah, so what are you up to now?
Now I am working as a commercial producer in Waco, Texas. My job entails shooting these 2-minute segments called CTLs, which stands for Central Texas Living. And I just go around to like restaurants or nonprofits and interview people on like what they have to offer in their business or any events they have coming up. So, yeah, it's been great because I've got to meet already a lot of really cool people in the Texas community. I had never been to Waco or Texas for that matter before, so very excited to be down here and thankful that outside of running, and like outside of running, I found a major that I like too, and that it provided me with this opportunity to be here down in Waco, gaining more experience and meeting new people. And yeah, I'm having a good time right now.
What did Corey and Paul have to say as your references?
Good question. I think one of the things that I have to do in Waco is there's a bunch of cities around us that I have to travel to. And we would travel to Williston a couple times and Sydney a couple times to shoot. And so one of the questions when I interviewed in Waco was, are you comfortable like traveling an hour plus to go do shoots? And I told them, well, yeah, I've been driving like 2 hours the past couple of weeks to go to Williston to shoot. So, I mean, traveling isn't really a big deal to me. So I'm sure Paul probably would have reinforced that to my boss if she asked him about it. So.
Mm-hmm. So, are you planning on becoming a graduate transfer or running for Baylor then?
No, I am not. when COVID happened and my season was ended, the NCAA gave they gave every senior the opportunity to come back and run one more year. Mm-hmm. And I talked it over with Coach Mark, and I was on the fence because I really wanted to have one more like good outdoor track season, which I hadn't really had. And I was like, it'd be another year of training. I could be like that much better. But then at the same time, I had kind of extended my 5th year already because of school. So I was taking like 2 to 3 classes per semester my last year. And I was like, I'm just gonna be done with school already. I would have to like extend schooling to run, and it's a whole nother year. And I kind of just want to like get started with my career. So it's funny that you ask about Baylor, because I actually thought about coming back to Minot for, I guess technically would have been a 6th year and running, but ultimately decided just to hang it up and accept it and move on.
You didn't want to be a super senior?
No, I did not.
You were already a super senior, super duper senior?
Yeah, I was already a 5th year senior, so.
Mm-hmm. All right, so is this like the big plan for you? I mean, do you have anything else in mind for like what Devan's doing a decade from now?
I honestly haven't thought about it. Mm-hmm. Right now, I'm just enjoying my time in Waco, learning a little bit more about my profession, and like I said, just like meeting new people right now, I guess, is my biggest thing, because you never know who knows who or what opportunity can arise from that. So a decade from now, I have no idea where I'm going to be, but for now, I'm just enjoying Texas.
All right, sounds good, man. Well, hey, enjoy your time there where it's warmer, stick with the running, and hey, we'll talk again soon, Devan. Thanks.
Sounds good, Ben. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.